Welcome back to our special preview then of Sunday's Audemars Piguet QE2 Cup. $20 million on the line. And if you haven't made your mind up as far as the winner is concerned, head to the website hkjc.com. You'll find a special microsite there with all the profiles on the 8 runners. And hopefully with that as your ammunition, you can find, and this of course today, you can find Sunday's big winner. So now we'll look back on a classic QE2. This was rulership taking apart a high-class field back in 2012. The memories of jockey Umberto Rispoli in conversation with Ed Sadler.
So Umberto, we're at the 2,000 metre starting point here at Shard Tin, where 5 years ago your QE2 Cup journey with rulership started. You'd won on him in Japan before. Did you come here feeling confident that he could win the QE2?
Well, I was pretty confident. The results he made in Japan was very good. In the way it was working, the way it was growing up, it was very good.
This guy's, there's more substance with rulership. He's got a bit of power about him.
There's a bit more scope about him. In fact, 1,100 pounds he weighs in at, but I love his attitude.
I was very happy about the call from Japan to be involved on him for the QE2.
You drew gate 8.
Yeah.
From that position, did you want to be in a handy spot in the run?
Well, I was not really happy about the gate because it was a horse that got some problem in the gate. When I jumped, the horse jumped pretty well that day.
And we're ready to run in the Audemars Piguet QE2 Cup for 2012, and they're off and racing. California Memory taken back, and a Sweet Orange and Zidane won the break. Pure Champion out well, so's Fei Fei. Treasure Beach wasn't great out, so Spencer's going to have to work on him going forward, and Rispoli sends rulership forward into the first turn.
My first mind was just try to crossing and go to find the rail because he got some speed after the start, and everything was rolling well.
When they'd settled into stride and you turned into the back of the track, you're third on the fence. Fei Fei Douglas White is in front. The pace wasn't that strong. Was that a concern for you?
Well, I was a little bit afraid about it because he's a horse has too much potential, and he was quite keen. He got such a long stride, and of course the pace, I was not really happy about it, but he settled down very well on the half of the backstretch. He was really relaxed, and I was just wishing that the straight line would come soon.
That big moment comes for you coming towards the home turn where Fei Fei shifts off and there's that run through on the inside. Did you think then this is your chance?
From the TV people can't see, but from the horses you can see there was not much room there. But the horse was, he was trusting me to send him there, and just when I asked him to go, he just, let's go.
What was that feeling like when you asked him and when he quickened there?
Well, I can see then the feeling was was a beautiful feeling. I mean, the best feeling I had in my life on the horses looks like, and then you are in the car, you press a button on the nose, and you're just like Vin Diesel on 2 wheels in his car, like in Fast and Furious.
But away goes rulership. He's destroying his rivals in the QE2 Cup.
Off of the straight line, I was just thinking, I said, well, if somebody's going to beat me, maybe it's going to be the airplane. It's going to go more fast than me. It was amazing.
Umberto Rispoli takes out the QE2 Cup on rulership, wins it by 4 lengths to Thumbs Up and Sweet Orange.
I was not even ready to make a celebration or something like that. I go myself. I go like I was feeling, and I give a big shout after the winning post because I got some pressure and everything was inside just come out, and it was amazing. Just when you're walking back, just to hear the people screaming and shout, and looks like it, and it was even more happy than me than I won that race, but for me it was the best moment I have in my life.
So he was in fact the very last overseas winner. Last 4 have gone to Hong Kong. So let's kick things off with the 3 challenges. Neo-realism, Group 2 winner last time out, and claimed a notable scalp as well on that occasion. He went on to big things in Dubai.
He's beaten some very, very good horses, Neo-realism. He's got a defeated Morris on his dance card. It was one of the best turf horses in the world last year. He's beaten the Dubai winners, Vivlos, the surprise Dubai winner in Real Steel. It's top quality form. We know these Japanese horses, they keep delivering. Rain would be a worry, wouldn't it, Steve, for this horse?
Well, I think so. I mean, they're so unexposed, the Japanese horses, to any sort of soft ground. As Nick touched on, the form's there for us to see. I'm very forgiving of his run here in December. trucking on the speed. They ran 47 flat for the first 800. He beat off Beauty Flame, had the temerity to still be there at about the 100, but the race was trifected by 3 who sat out the back and did no work. And I think Noriyuki Hori is just that trainer now around the world who's got that little bit of something special about him, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're thinking he's the natural leader in the race?
He must be the controlling pace, mustn't he? Surely.
Yeah. I think, obviously Blazing Speed in the United States will look to be handy, but I couldn't see either of them wanting to lead. He'll dictate. It's probably appropriate that we looked at Rulership, because really Rulership's the only horse in recent years to roll right on the speed and win this race.
Yeah.
It's generally won by something stalking, but if Joe can rate him, gee, it's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah. As a slight aside, it's been interesting to see him in track work this week with the rider sporting a futuristic goggle on his head.
That's been the headline for sure. So there's a monitor on the girth that transmits directly to a screen inside the goggle, whereby the jockey can see not only how fast he's going sectionally through his work, but also what heart rate the horse is beating at. Quite incredible. Added to that, Steve, as we found out, the trainer can sit in his office in Japan and pick up all this data real time while his assistant trainer's doing the work here.
It's a lot of information for the rider to be seeing, though, at one time when he's actually on the horse trying to concentrate with that too.
Well, Nick mentioned that he tweeted this and couldn't believe the response from trainers in the UK. A couple of trainers in Australia that I do a little bit of casual work for, they both bang immediately. Where do we get one of these?
Get us
Two
some goggles.
distributors now.
Yeah. Jockeys perhaps not so keen, but the trainers are all over it.
Yeah.
Well, I know the Jockey Club will be looking at it quite closely themselves now here as well. Let's go to the United States. Started off life in Ireland with Aidan O'Brien. Now in Australia. He's a Group 1 winner over the distance there.
He's done incredibly well for his connections, hasn't he? Lloyd Williams and co. They've had a lot of fun with him. He's a 7-year-old Entair. He's got a beautiful pedigree. He'll make a lovely stallion when he's finished. But I don't think he's quite good enough, is he? That basically?
I doubt it. The only positive you can come up with, he's only ever had one run right-handed, 2,000 metres on good ground, and he won the Ranvet last year beating Haraki. That's his positive. He will race handy. I would consider him a place chance.
Right, yeah. Honest type, but maybe a win might be on him. We will see. Dicton's an interesting one, placed in 2 classics behind arguably, well, he was highest rated, Almanzor. That form's outstanding.
You could make a case that it's one of the best 2 or 3 bits of form in the whole race, that third in the Prix de Jockey Club behind Almanzor, and the Aga Khan's horse who ran so well in Dubai. And it's the only time the horse has really raced over any kind of distance of ground, 10.5 furlongs. It's his single best piece of form. I was talking to Connections this morning. They think he's probably best at an intermediate distance, something like 9 furlongs, 1,800 metres. But I think he'll get this distance and get it well. He's unexposed. I could see him running a big race.
He's been a bit quirky at track work in the morning. Is that a concern when there's going to be 50,000 people on the track on Sunday?
Yeah, look, he was pretty good this morning. He had a reasonable, probably 3/4, 7/8 gallop on the turf course. He looked a little bit more relaxed. He's a bit quirky. It's been fascinating to watch all week. He approaches the grate that separates the turf track and the all-weather track, and he has a look at it, and would I be safe to put a hoof down on that? And then he pops over. My little reservation would be 5 wins on soft ground, 1 on an all-weather track. I just wonder whether he is better on soft tracks.
What about the rest of the locals? A couple of previous winners. Let's start maybe with the Blazing Speed. Kindred spirits, him and Neil Callan, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And you would think this race is going to pan out very well for him. He will be in the perfect stalking position, sitting 2nd or 3rd. Very resilient, very reliable, always runs his race. I certainly wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, Designs on Rome, very good on his day, but his day might have gone.
He might be the one that's most obviously regressive of the old-timers in this race and the previous winners. He might be the one that's most firmly on the downgrade, even though he's been a tremendous servant.
Yeah, absolutely. You wouldn't
I'm with Steve on Blazing Speed. I think he can win this race.
Okay, it's a big shout. And the final one, of course, Secret Weapon. You ignore the Stewards Cup. The form is absolutely rock solid, but he just doesn't come through. He doesn't have the sexy connections maybe as some of the others.
No, he doesn't look to have had the ideal prep as far as I can gather. There doesn't seem to be a lot of bullishness about just how ready he is for this race. But, sometimes we overanalyse these things, don't we? We bet on 1,000 races a year where we don't see every piece of work and we just trust that they're fit and well and presented. So it might be foolish to absolutely put the pen through it.
Yeah, all right. Good piece of form behind Morris, of course, on International Day. But those are the runners, which means it's decision time, Nick, and you've drawn the short straw. You're up first.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a cruise 1-2. I've gone Blazing Speed to win. because I think he'll get the perfect trip. I think they're a tightly matched group of horses. Yes, we've got potential improvers in there, but I think he will get the perfect trip. As Steve said, he and Neil Callan, they adore each other. Callan's dynamic style of riding suits the toughness of this horse, and I think he can do it again. I've gone for Pakistan Star to run really well and not quite get there in second, and I think we picked the same 4 horses, but in a different order, and I've gone with the Japanese horse Neorillas and last year's winner Werther to fill out the superfecta.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going with Pakistan Star. I think we're still yet to see the best of him. It may not be this Sunday. In fact, I think in 6 months' time, he'll be an even better horse again. But I think he's starting to turn the corner, and I think the small field is going to suit him. He's not going to be conceding too great a start to beat Werther. They both run similar rattling closing sectionals, and then the 2 on paces, Neorealism and Blazing Speed. If it's not too Irish, I might even take the Quinella, the 2 on speed horses, Blazing Speed and Neorealism, and then take another Quinella with Werther and Pakistan Star.
All right, well there you go. And if you want to know who I like on the weekend, we'll have to tune into to Racing to Win for that.
Oh, come on.
Or on Sunday.
That's one of the worst cop-outs I've ever heard.
We've just about run out of time, unfortunately. As far as the details, of course, for Sunday are concerned, Sha Tin, of course, is the venue. We'll be on air from 12:30 local time. The big race is race number 8 at 4:35 Hong Kong time for the 2017 Audemars Piguet QE2 Cup. Of course, you want to get in touch, the Twitter handle is @HKJC_racing. All right, that's it, gents. The hard work is done, just about. Just enjoy the race on Sunday.
It's always a fantastic atmosphere at Sha Tin on these big race days, so I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a great first experience for Mr. Luck.
Yeah, my first visit to Hong Kong, but as you well know, Andrew, I've got the perfect man to chaperone me around the sights and sounds of this great city, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Excellent.
But not too much.
Hopefully we'll get to do it again in the not too distant future. But on behalf of Steve, Nick and the rest of the team, that's the show. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we can count on your company again on Sunday, when we'll see if the Hong Kong heavyweight champion in Werther can defend his title.